This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
All right, some thoughts and comments here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We get this. Don't think we'll have quarterback controversy come next season.
I don't think we will either, except for the fact that you don't know exactly how Baron Morton comes back.
Absolutely.
Right? He's coming off surgery, so there is some of that. I think you want some of that. You want to think that Will Hammond's going to be good, and he's going to have the run of the show all spring, and so you would think Will Hammond's going to progress and continue to get better. I didn't think what I saw from Will Hammond made me think he's not going to be a really good quarterback.
Me neither.
I just thought I saw true freshmen out there making true freshman mistakes.
Absolutely.
And so for those of us, and I might even consider myself in that category, that thought he was going to be spectacular and we weren't going to see that, that was kind of silly of us. So I mean, he's a true freshman. I mean,
right.
that's a big deal. So anyway, I still think he has the potential to push Baron Morton and all that good stuff, but at the same time, I feel really good about Baron Morton too, and we've seen plenty of guys come back from surgeries and be really good, and I think that he will be as well. So I'm not super nervous about that.
This is a fair question. I don't know that we have the answer to it, but it's a fair question. We all agree that the SEC is overhyped. How can a 6-6 bottom of the SEC barrel that lost over 27 players to the portal beat an 8-4 Tech team that was on a roll?
Okay, so I continue to be hammered for this. Okay, I thought the Big 12 was very mediocre this year. I think that's fair. I think the SEC is better than the Big 12.
I think that's fair.
Okay, I've been saying that. People don't like it. And I think the Big 12 was very mediocre this year. That's why at 8-4, I'm not through the moon, through the roof, whatever.
No, over the moon.
Over the moon,
through
the roof, over the moon, to grandmother's house we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
okay. Like that?
I think that's fair.
Okay. And that's why I felt like we should have won 10 games.
Yeah. No, I think what you said there is fair. Arkansas was also favored up until the day of the game. I don't know that this is a fair statement. I don't think it is. Maybe it's safe to say that Hammond was not ready. I think he was ready. He was prepared. There's no question in my mind he was ready and prepared. They talk about that. Now, the difference is when you get in the game and you got the big uglies running after you and you don't have as much time and you maybe throw the ball a little wildly. He's a freshman playing in his first game as a starter.
I would say not ready in regard to hasn't had enough experience in games.
Yes.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks to the texter, and I think it speaks to what you're saying.
Yeah. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Good morning, guys, from Rome, Texas. Coming home 7 days. See you guys if the NCAA is going to do anything about Arkansas number 55 Dirty Axe stepping on our player's ankle. The player you're talking about is Fernando Carmona, who got a unsportsmanlike penalty call on him in the game for pushing one of our guys in the back, but clearly stepped on the ankle of C.J. Baskerville. Look, this happens in every game, but that was really, really blatant,
really obvious,
and really obvious.
Yeah, and put all of his weight on it.
Yeah,
and all the above. I don't know what Arkansas is supposed to do about it. It's a really bad look.
It's a bad look.
Yeah, I mean, has there any been like their coach apologized to Coach McGuire or anything?
I haven't seen anything along those lines.
I figure that something like that would probably come about. I don't know. That's a terrible look. I would be really disappointed if one of our guys did that.
Yeah. Why even take a player to the bowl game if he isn't going to play? A waste of time, money, and morale. I think they probably took him because of his leadership and how the guys feel about him. And I would think that probably to a man they necessarily didn't have a problem with it. And my guess too is those guys already knew when they got on the plane leaving here that he wasn't going to play. the question I have is, why not just say that you're not going to play and you're going to be there to be on the sideline to support your team and support your teammates and provide off-field leadership?
I'm with you with all that. I mean, but they take people to the bowl game that weren't even on the team this year. Right?
Yeah,
like incoming guys.
Yes, and I love that that they took Michael Deaver and Leighton Stone, and they got some sideline experience, how to travel with the team and practice and all that kind of stuff. You didn't like that, or you don't?
It's when you talk about wasting money or whatever on Taj Brooks, taking him when he's not playing. I mean, guys weren't even on the team, and you're taking them.
And I don't know how many of those guys you took.
Yeah. The first time Tech went to the College World Series, there were players that weren't on the active roster that the NCAA would not allow them to bring with them to the College World Series.
I got you.
Yeah. So
because they limited the roster.
Right. So they're not allowed to fly. They weren't allowed to fly there with the team, be with the team, any of the above.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. So if you're going to do it for one, you got to do it for the other.
Yeah, and those were guys that actually played in games for the team.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, I don't have. I mean, the general thought of it, I don't have a problem taking them or whatever. I don't know. I mean, if we're cutting back on all these things and trying to save money and all that. Some of that seems unnecessary, but I don't have an issue with it. I mean, get those guys the experience and get out there and get comfortable with your teammates and all the above. There's all sorts of positives with that.
I think the saving money aspect starts with a new calendar year, Jamie.
I think it's no. And I'm not stupid. It starts with it's not football and men's basketball. That's where the saving money part starts with. Football and men's basketball, we don't worry about saving money. I get it. I understand. They're the money making sports. We get it. We're not
and really,
dumb.
it's more football than even than.
Yeah, I don't think there's any worrying about cutting back over at football.
This Chuck and Jamie. I've been a Texas Tech fan for 30 plus years. I graduated in 10 from Texas. Was at the 08 game. Blah blah blah. This is my first time I can really sit back and say I'm numb to anything Tech football right now. Don't have any emotions before, during, or after the loss. I was more frustrated that CU didn't play up to par. Wow.
Why are you numb?
Numb.
I mean, why are you numb?
He's not dumb. He's numb.
Numb, yeah. I didn't say dumb.
I know. I just want to make
why
sure.
Are you numb? I mean, why do you not care anymore? Is the NIL part of it, the transfer portal part of it? I mean, why are you not? I mean, I hate the NIL and I hate the transfer portal. I still want Tech to win. I mean, I really passionately hate both of those things, but I still want the Red Raiders passionately to win.
We get this so-so season, definitely hoping for more consistency on both sides of the ball. Paul says this.
I put it a little bit above so-so. I do. Yeah. I still say it was good.
Paul says NIL has made me gravitate towards the NFL. I've rekindled my love for the Redskins. They won in overtime last night.
The Redskins.
That was really funny, Paul.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
This day in sports history. Today is December the 30th, 2024. Here is Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history.
Going to start in 1926, and I want you guys to remember the source here. The Chicago Tribune.
Okay.
Reports the Tigers threw a 4-game series to the White Sox in 1917 to help Chicago win the pennant. Now, this is in 26, talking about 17 from the Chicago Tribune about the White Sox, who did throw the World Series in 1919. Just putting that out there.
Okay.
1956, National Football League Championship took place at Yankee Stadium. New York Giants beat the Chicago Bears 47-7. It was the Giants' 4th NFL title. In 73, we had the AFC and NFC Championships. Miami Dolphins beat the Oakland Raiders 27-10 in the Orange Bowl in Miami. And in Texas Stadium, Minnesota Vikings beat the Dallas Cowboys 27-10.
Wow. Losing a home game. NFC Championship game.
Well, this was the 73 season.
Yeah.
So we know it's about to happen for the Super Bowl.
Right, because no. Yes, the 73 season, right. Okay, they're going to win. They're going to go undefeated.
Right. So would you rather lose at home or lose the Super Bowl and, He largely lose the Super Bowl. It's a stupid question. 2008, NFL head coach Mike Shanahan was fired by the Denver Broncos. In 2013, NFL head coach Mike Shanahan is fired by the Washington Redskins.
You think his son likes beating those teams?
Yes.
Yeah, because of it. Or is that just, man, it's the game. That's if you're there somewhere, anywhere long enough, you're probably going to get fired.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Also in 2013, Davis Webb throws for 403 yards and tied a Holiday Bowl record with 4 touchdown passes as Texas Tech raced to a 37-23 victory over number 16 Arizona State.
And I remember being so hyped up about that game and coming off of that win. And
Chuck excited after a bowl win?
And all
No
that was
way.
going to carry over into the fall the next year.
It was surely a good win and all that good stuff, and we felt really good about Davis Webb. It was the first time we got to hear him speak.
Yeah.
Right. Right, because he hadn't spoken at all.
He was a freshman, wasn't allowed to talk. So, yeah, it was fun. That was a good game. That's one of my, Texas Tech bowl game wins that I'm always get excited about when I think about it.
The 72 Dolphins won. They were undefeated. It was the 73 Super Bowl that they won undefeated.
Right. Has the Minnesota Vikings ever won a Super Bowl?
No. But it was the 73 season. The Dolphins went 12-2 and then won the Super Bowl. So the 73 NFC Championship game was not the perfect year.
Miami went back-to-back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But again, have the Minnesota Vikings ever won a Super Bowl?
Their next one will be their first.
Right. So when the Dolphins beat the Raiders and the Vikings beat the Cowboys, we know who wins the Super Bowl next.
Right. It wasn't their undefeated season, is my point. It wasn't the Dolphins' undefeated season.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
2018, Patrick Mahomes becomes only the second quarterback in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns during the Kansas City Chiefs' 35-3 win over the Oakland Raiders. He achieves both marks with the third quarter 89 touchdown pass to DeMarcus Robinson. Gentlemen, today is a day that all of us can gather around and say it is a great food day. And if you do not think today is a great food day, you are wrong. Because, gentlemen, it is National Bacon Day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. See? No arguments. That's how you know it's a great day. Happy birthday to LeBron James, who is 40. Tiger Woods, 49. Tracy Ullman is 65. Carson Wentz, 32. Cowboys Ring of Honor member Mel Renfro is 83. Sandy Koufax, 89. And A.J. Brzezinski is 48. And on this day, 1922, in a post-revolutionary Russia, the Union of Socialist Republics, shortening to USSR, is established, comprising a confederation of Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, and the Armenian republics, also known as the Soviet Union. The new communist state was the successor to the Russian Empire and the first country in the world to be based on Marxist socialism. How'd that turn out for him? This day in sports history.
This day in sports history, 6:50 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com or the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. You know how I like to meet people and shake hands and kiss babies and all that kind of stuff, right? So I was at this local restaurant in Memphis on Friday afternoon, getting ready for in between Optimum Game Day Live shifts for me, and see this guy and his wife and another person. They're kind of decked out in tech gear, and I start talking to them, and it turns out it was John Carlos Miller's parents.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, really nice people. And he's a big guy too. I can see where John Carlos Miller gets it. And he was telling me his dad was that it came down to Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, and he said just too much Mike Gundy, and really liked the culture at Texas Tech and everything that fit in for him. And so Felt like that was just a great experience so far for their son at Texas Tech. So that was cool. And then Saturday night at the Memphis airport, and this is where I was like having okay, this is me and this is not you, okay, moment, because I was watching this guy and he had his iPad out and he was going over basketball plays and he was making notes, but he was an older gentleman. He's like too old to be a coach, but I thought maybe he's a scout. So I was going to do a little Lady Raider work while we were waiting on our plane, and so I walk up to him and I go, "Are you a coach or a scout?" And he's like, "Well, I'm kind of a scout." And he said, I'm here in town, and basically I'm scouting the referees to be in the NCAA tournament. And just coincidentally, Ole Miss had played Memphis earlier that day. But then he proceeds to tell me, after I tell him that I'm from Lubbock, blah, 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 he said that he refereed, his name was Ted Hillary, he refereed the first game at United Supermarkets Arena.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then he said that he refereed Coach Knight's first game here as the head coach at Texas Tech. So he was a guy that I Googled him later. He was a very nice fellow, and we had good chats and things like that. And he told me a couple stories. Of course, I told him a couple stories, and so we just kind of went back and forth. But 3 times he refereed in the Final Four.
Very cool.
So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. I thought you'd enjoy at least that we had a Texas Tech connection to both of these stories. Okay.
Good stuff.
6:53 this morning here on the morning drive. This with regard to Will Hammond. The speed of the college game for Hammond is different than what he has seen in practice. That's fair. I mean, it's different than obviously what he saw in high school. And every level, you always hear the players talk about speed of the game, right? Speed of the game.
Yeah, and experience is the thing that catches you up on that. So,
yeah.
I mean, him being a true freshman, he's not going to have much of that. And that you would think was a good opportunity for him to gain a lot of experience.
Absolutely.
And as talented as he is, I would imagine that he would build off of that and get better for it.
Man, he can throw that ball, though. It's got some velocity on it.
That's why we play him at quarterback.
Yes, sir. 6:54 this morning here on the morning drive. It is just before 7. We'll continue with some Liberty Bowl stuff and then basketball as well here next as Texas Tech takes on UCF. Tomorrow, a New Year's Eve afternoon affair on a weekday. The noon coverage and the 1 o'clock tip tomorrow from United Supermarkets Arena. First Big 12 game for the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and we'll have it for you tomorrow afternoon here on Double T 97.3.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
We've been talking about Red Raiders basketball a little bit this morning, plus the Cowboys of Scotia. The thing that was amazing to me about the bowl game on Friday was the fact that you got back into the game. I mean, you're down 21-3 and look lifeless at that point, and it's still in the first quarter. I mean, and then Tech goes on an 8-play drive and eventually has to punt, and then you get it down to the 2-yard line, and you force a safety, and that kind of invigorates the team a little bit, the crowd some, and then you come right back and go 5 plays and get a touchdown. Then you get a fumble, and man, that was what was really disappointing, is that you weren't able to capitalize on the fumble at the Arkansas 48-yard line. You got it down to 4th and 2 at the Arkansas 37, and you went for it, and you hand the ball off to Jacoby Williams right in the middle of the line. I really didn't like that play. Because you kind of,
I didn't like it because you didn't get the first down.
Well, sure, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I thought, well, you ran right into him. But then you force a punt, and then you
block, and you won't run right into him.
No,
right?
or open up a hole, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, we just hadn't had any success running between the tackles. It seemed like. And then, but then you come back and you score a touchdown on an 8-play, 98-yard drive. I mean, that was one of those, of the 2 punts that you're like, oh, what in the world are we doing back there? why didn't we let it go into the end zone, and why did we catch it? Both of those were, like, oh boy, what in the world was that?
I just a long time ago, when I was a kid, I learned that there was a rule in punt returning. You put your heels on the 10, and if it's over your head, you don't back up.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where, because I see this kind of stuff a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and maybe it's not at the 2-yard line; it costs you a safety. But you watch football nowadays; guys are making fair catches at the 5 and the 6, and I'm like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Take the risk of it bouncing and getting into the end zone.
Sure.
I'm sorry if it goes
make a
4
play.
yards farther back. The odds of that happening aren't very good. Let it bounce and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. I see it in all levels of football now. I don't know why, when that rule went away, quote unquote, that unwritten rule of put your heels on the 10 and don't back up.
Yeah. But you go on an 8-play drive, 98 yards, score a touchdown, you get to within 2. Man, it's a ball game. It's a ball game. Did you feel?
Oh yeah.
Were you tingling at that point in time?
I mean, at halftime, I definitely thought you had a chance.
And I hated how that first half ended, though, and it did feel like in the stadium, and that momentum had swung back to Arkansas with them kicking that field goal as time expired. There, it was a 40-yarder, and they go into the locker room, and then they come out and they get the ball to start the second half, and they drive 10 plays, 78 yards, and they score another field goal, and you're down by 8. Mm-hmm. And then you do 3 and out, and then they score a touchdown, and now it's 34-19, and it's basically over at that point in time.
Well, it wasn't over at that point. You still had a chance. I mean, you're only down 2 touchdowns at that point, right?
I know.
But that's where you really started turning the ball over after that.
You have an interception, and then they punt, then you have a safety, then they punt, you punt, then they punt, then you throw an interception, and you get a touchdown there at the end. And the game comes to a conclusion. So you finish 8-5, and Arkansas finishes 7-6. Man, I thought if Arkansas lost that game, that Sam Pittman would be in a little bit of trouble, but I don't think he's in any trouble at this point in time. Today.
Again, you don't. When was the last time? I mean, you just see it so rare, though, that they fire a guy after the bowl.
Well,
if you're going to make the change, you would have made it at the end of the regular season.
I meant just going into the season that the seat would have been a little warmer.
I would imagine it still is. They were 6-6.
Yeah.
The regular season, I imagine his seat's a little bit warm.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been great during his tenure.
They have not been great.
I don't think this bowl win washed away all the sins.
No, it's not. It's not taken, or like you said, washed away all of the sins. Anything surprise you in the bowl game?
Surprised me. I would say Jacoby Williams surprised me a little bit. Just how good he was. Mm-hmm. I mean, he looked great. I mean, I was impressed with him during the regular season, but I mean, he looked really good.
Yeah, and then I was glad to see Cam Dickey playing as well. So it was. What
I mean, how bad your secondary was.
Yeah.
How you can.
Oh my God.
341 yards on 11 completed passes.
Yeah, and then
that guy's not good. He's not good throwing the ball. He's a great athlete, but he's not great throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it hadn't been all season long, and he lit you up for 341.
I know.
11 completions, Chuck.
He did. He lit you up is exactly right, because I mean, and that
was surprisingly bad.
They were explosive plays. Had one that went for 94, one that went for 56, one that went for 31, one that went for 47. All the different guys, all the different receivers.
No, that's nice of him.
Yeah, he spread the wealth. And then, Rodney Hill ran for 70 yards as his longest play of the ball game. Just too many explosive plays, and I mean that's basically what got your defensive coordinator fired.
Yeah,
it's too many explosive plays and not being able to get people off the field. So hopefully, I don't know that you can fix all that in an off season and in a year, but I mean that's got to be That's got to be something that you got to at least stem the tide on a little bit.
You've added 2 defensive tackles, a rush edge, and 4 defensive backs. You better hope that you can fix that in an offseason.
That's right.
You spent a lot of money on fixing that this offseason.
That's right.
A lot of money.
A lot of thumbs in the old dam there to plug up the holes.
Well, I don't know how many thumbs you've spent, but you've spent a lot of money trying to fix that.
You put thumbs in the hole there, and then hopefully you got some guys that can help you out.
I hope we have some. I think we need to put some big 300-pounders in the hole, not a thumb. You get over there, and this running back comes at you, tackle him, okay? Yeah. And if there's an opening, go get the guy who has the ball who wants to throw it, okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
39-26 was the final on Friday night. How did the big gap in the stadium look on TV? Because the press box side was across from us, and we sat on the end of the field where the teams ran into at least the Tech team ran into the locker room. But you could see that there was a pretty wide gap, which they're going to build for suites and party deck and all that kind of stuff. Got to think it looked pretty odd.
Yeah. I think that's a fair way to describe it. I don't know what to say.
I also think they did a pretty good job of shooting the game, so you didn't see it much.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was. Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't prevalent.
Yeah.
No. Like, there's a big gap over there. Look at that.
I think we saw it once during pregame.
Okay.
Like once as the shot was coming down for the kickoff, and then it maybe sporadic here and there, just as a pan view as they're following some. Everything was shot like almost field level. It felt like.
Okay. All right.
So.
The concessions were pretty good. When I went to get something right before the half to eat, I asked this gal if she had coffee, and she said, "No, we've got hot chocolate." I go, "Is it hot?" And she said, "Yes, it is." Because a lot of times, you go to those concession stands, you get hot chocolate. It's lukewarm at best. It was piping hot. I think it was made with milk too. It was pretty good. Pretty good hot chocolate.
You don't say. Maybe you and I should swing by and get some today, Jeff. Want to go to Memphis?
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
Got a piece of paper over there, Chuck?
I do.
That's the question of the day.
A clean one? A clean piece of paper.
Clean one.
I got a blank one and I got a full one.
Get the blank one out.
Okay.
At the top, I want you to write 2025 Texas Tech football predictions.
Okay. This is on 12/30/24.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. You got a date there?
I do.
Okay, you got a date. All right. I want you to give me the record for the Red Raiders in 2025.
All right. I'm going to pull up my 2025 Texas Tech football schedule, some of which we know who you're playing. We just don't know when the Big 12 games are going to be.
All right. We don't know what order the conference games are in. We know who and we know where. So I'll while you're looking it over, okay. Home to start the season against Arkansas Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State.
Yeah.
All three at home.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. And again, this is not the order. This is just the way they're listed. On the road at Arizona State, on the road at Houston, on the road at Kansas State, home against BYU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, UCF, on the road at Utah, on the road at West Virginia. Those are your 12 games.
Man, I'm worried now. I'm worried because of how Arizona State's played, because of how Kansas State plays, how BYU has played. Utah's coming back, and Rich Rod is Rich Rod. I'm not as worried about West Virginia's. So you're going to win all three of the non-conference. I hate telling you this, but 1, 2. Man, I'm going to say 9-3. So one better, and your losses are going to be at K-State, at Arizona State, and home to BYU.
Helps if you turn the mic on, Jeff. I've got 8-4 with losses to Oregon State, Kansas State, BYU, and Utah.
Oregon State,
Kansas State, and then the 2 Utah schools.
I am at 9-3 with losses at Kansas State, home against Kansas, and at Utah.
Wow.
The Kansas one's the one that we're going to be just scratching our heads. I'm just picking one that I think we should win that we're going to lose. Kind of a deal. Because we always have one of those.
Man, I would feel pretty good. Obviously we don't know when that Kansas game is, but if you go to Arizona State and win, of course, I don't know how many people they're going to lose, and you win it.
They're going to lose Scattaboo.
Yeah, and then you win at home over BYU because man they looked really good against Colorado.
They did.
Again, they'll lose some players. And I think Utah is going to be better. Okay. And Jeff has the 4 losses. Whew. That home loss to Oregon State, that's not going to be very good, Jeff, for the home folks.
Joey goes 2-1 in the non-conference every year. I don't think you're losing the first 2.
You got all, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Kent State.
Yeah.
Which usually you lose on the road.
Yeah.
Usually you lose on the road, but
there's a way to avoid that.
Win.
Don't schedule any road games.
That helps too, yeah. No, and it's also the 3rd game, and people looking ahead to Big 12 play. Yeah. 2-1 non-conference.
Yeah.
That's your one.
Somebody says this: 10-2. Anything less is a disappointment.
I didn't say I wouldn't be disappointed with 8-4. I just said that's what I'm predicting. The 2 are different.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing too is, does 9-3, Jamie? That's not enough to get you into a Big 12 championship game.
Don't know.
Yeah.
What were the 2 teams this year?
Were they 9-3? I think.
I'm not sure.
I don't have that off the top of my head. I think one had 10, but I may be wrong about that. Somebody says go over the portal numbers for the other schools. My care factor of doing that is probably not very large, at least here
probably
on December the 30th.
Why don't you say it's not very large?
It's not very large.
There you go.
It's not very large for December the 30th.
Those 2 teams, Arizona State and Iowa State, were 7-2 in conference.
7-2, but 7-2, and they were 11-2 overall, but 7-2 in conference play. So that was where we needed to be. What was the conference record? So 7. Yeah. So I don't think 3 conference losses is going to get you into the Big 12 championship game.
I think there's a good chance that you're right on that, but just wouldn't guarantee it with this conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at 3 conference losses last year, had you 1 game out. 7 teams within 1 game. It just feels like that's the way it's going to be in this conference, which is fun as far as I'm concerned. I think I had there was definitely some frustrating moments, but I had as much fun watching Big 12 football this year as I've had in a long time.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I feel like that your schedule is tougher next year by having to go to Arizona State, at K-State, even home against BYU and Kansas, and then having to go to Utah.
Kansas getting their quarterbacks back is big for them. Oklahoma State, you just got to believe, is going to be better.
They're going to be better.
Yeah.
And, UCF, that's a,
who knows?
Coin flip there, right?
New coach, who knows? But
Same
it's
thing with
coach
West
who's
Virginia.
had success there, yes.
Yeah, Scott Frost he's won a national championship there.
Just you don't expect Utah to stay down. Feels like their key thing for them is to get a quarterback in the portal. Have they gotten one, Chuck? I know you keep up with what Utah's doing in the portal.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
That was sarcasm. I have no clue either.
9-3 would be the same Big 12 record as this year for Texas Tech. Yeah, 6-3 in the Big 12 and 3-0 in the non-conference. Right, now I get it, but I think you've got a tougher schedule. All right, well I will keep these, and we'll see where we are December the 30th of 2025. 7:40 this morning on the morning drive. The boom 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 is next.
They have 2 quarterbacks in the from the portal, by the way.
Okay, good.
Utah.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thank you for being with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio, and look forward to continuously hearing from you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. We will have a college football quarterfinal game tomorrow for you. It features Penn State and Boise State. That comes to us from Glendale, Arizona, which is just outside of Phoenix. I hadn't really given it any thought, but when you said that with regard to the Citrus Bowl, Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, you're right. It doesn't go together.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. I mean, citrus, you think of like a grapefruit or something like that. Yeah,
sure.
Something along those lines.
Lemon.
Yeah. And none of that goes with a Cheez-It. I mean, you're not putting an orange on a Cheez-It, or a slice of grapefruit on a Cheez-It. I mean, these things don't always make sense, and and that's one that doesn't make any sense at all. But it's South Carolina and Illinois that will play in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. And now that you have pointed that out, it just it makes no damn sense at all. So it just makes me laugh. What have you made so far of the Big 12 teams aside from Texas Tech? We've talked about that quite a bit in the Liberty Bowl, and obviously we're all disappointed, but. And we've talked about how the Big 12 isn't necessarily as strong as it has been, top to bottom, and in recent years. K-State ekes out a win, has to come back to beat Rutgers 44-41.
Yeah, but it's a nice win. It was fun. Entertaining game.
A former Big 12 team didn't do so hot in the SEC, and then I think this just puts Brett Venables on just this huge alert for next year. I mean, they fall to Navy 21-20.
Yeah, I just am not that confident as him as a head coach. So I don't. You got to believe that he's on the hot seat heading into next year.
Oh
right?
My God, yes, absolutely, absolutely on the hot seat. I mean, to lose to Navy, and then 2 to be even in that position where they're playing in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. I mean, and Oklahoma finishes at 6-7. Ugh. I mean, I'm happy about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Not at all. Not at all. But boy, you think about kind of what they've done and the moves that they've already made and the resources that they have there. Man alive. That is...
You would think they have to feel like we could get many coaches that would love the opportunity to be here at Oklahoma with the resources that we have.
Yeah.
Although I've heard the talks that Oklahoma is really not full of the money that everybody expects them to be full of. That's why they felt like they had to make the jump to the SEC.
So then on Saturday, you have Iowa State winning over Miami. That was a nice win.
Yep.
42-41 for them in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And then I'm guessing you did. We didn't really talk about this before Tech's Bowl game, but I'm guessing that you thought that BYU and Colorado would be a much closer game.
Yes, and I expected Colorado to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't hurt my feelings that they didn't, though.
36-2.
Loved that all their players played, though.
And then I'll give TCU credit for taking care of business against Louisiana.
They sure did.
At 34-3. I mean, that would have been very easy for them to go in and go, oh, my God, we're playing in Albuquerque. 2 years ago, we're playing for the national championship.
Yeah.
And now we're playing in Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
And so they found a way to win. So good for them. Later on in the week, well, I guess it's actually tomorrow, Baylor and LSU play. I'll be very interested to see how much want-to there is out of LSU, because I think there's a whole lot of want-to out of Baylor.
Oh, man, the way they finished the season, like a hot team.
Mm-hmm. And then
wasn't a good time for them to have the bye month.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And then we get to the college football playoff in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. At least I think they serve, peach flavored shakes there. So I mean that at least goes a little bit together, better than the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, that seems fair.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The 4 seed Arizona State and the 5 seed Texas. Do you have a gut feel on this one?
Texas.
By a lot?
Double digits.
Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Here's some things from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I think the game on Saturday shows the game. Well, it was actually Friday. Shows the gap between us and the SEC Big Ten schools. Arkansas had so many opt-outs, and we got shelled. Cameron, I bet it stings extra for OU to see what UT did this year. Yeah, but I think they kind of expected UT to have a big year. I don't know that they expected to have a losing year at Oklahoma.
I mean, correct on both sides of it. I mean, they may have expected it, but it doesn't mean that they liked seeing it when they were struggling.
Yeah. We get this. I have not read this whole thing, and I'll read most of it for you. The Double T staff correlates well with the Texas Tech football team. That's a good opening line. Chuck is the Texas Tech secondary, and then in parenthesis, completely mesmerized by everything that matters 0%. 0%. Jeff is the offensive line, in parenthesis, tries too hard with not much success. Bro is Morton, slightly serviceable, not really a playmaker. Man, this is very complimentary. Choice is Josh Kelly, tries to do what he can to carry the O. Jamie is J-Rod, max effort to keep everything going. Wow. Dr. Mike is the kicker, super solid. Clint Scott, is Jack Burgess, minimal effect. And kick returners is the new kid, don't have a clue. No disrespect meant to anyone. Okay, well.
I think there taken. Was. No.
None taken.
Well, my favorite was the Choice one.
I think
Choice
that's
is doing what he can do to carry our O.
Uh-huh.
Way to go, Choice.
I feel like that people are mesmerized by everything that matters 0%, and that's what kind of helps bring everything together here.
We'll agree to disagree on that.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.